Hello and welcome to Movies with My Dad, the podcast where I, film critic Tina Kakadelis, take my dad Stratus to the movies. This week, we saw Fly Me to the Moon, directed by Greg Berlanti, starring Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, and Woody Harrelson. Join us on the car ride home. All right, it's recording. You want to turn the AC down?
Oh, can we cool down a little bit more?
I'm freezing. I was freezing that whole movie.
All right, Tina, fly me to the moon.
Did you like it?
I have a lot to say about it. So let's begin with what we saw and what it's about in broad terms.
The second that it's a movie about space, you're like, well, it's my podcast now. I'll do the introductions. I'll structure it. No worries.
Well, all right, we'll get into that in a minute, but first describe what we're doing. Okay,
so Fly Me to the Moon. It is a loose historical retelling of the 1969 Apollo 11 mission to the moon with a woman, Scarlett Johansson, who's an ad exec from New York who gets hired to essentially...
A con woman, but continue.
Okay, let's calm down
Just
a little
help me,
bit.
adding color.
A con woman ad exec from New York. She's not really a con woman in this circumstance.
In general, her life has been a con.
Okay. To revamp NASA's image so they get money because after Kennedy was assassinated, there was no money. And then there's Channing Tatum. Couldn't tell you his name in the movie at all.
He's the launch director.
He is the launch director.
At Kennedy Space Center.
At Kennedy Space Center in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Shout out Florida.
Shout out Florida, yeah.
And they butt heads, but they're also in love, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on from there.
Yeah, so what space thing bothered you the most that you have to get off your chest?
Let's give some background just to go with that, right? I should be the demographic for this movie.
Because you went to space. You are Neil Armstrong.
I am a 20-year veteran engineer working in the space program in some way, shape, or other. Maybe even 30 years at this point. Don't even know. I've worked on space missions. I've been around them. So this should be...
You've been to the moon.
I have not been to the moon.
You stepped on the moon with Buzz.
This should have been right in my wheelhouse, right? They got a good-looking guy that's pretending to be a NASA engineer guy, right? We all wanted to be that guy. There's a good-looking woman that that's playing the lead here, all of this, and then you got the backdrop of space, Kennedy, rockets,
Nixon.
All this other, Nixon, and
Woody Harrelson.
Where did it go wrong? First off, I think it was a combination of they wanted to be, what was the Apollo 13 movie, mm-hmm. which was a serious dramatic recreation telling of that critical mission, and a Lifetime Hallmark movie put together. Am I wrong?
I will agree that it tonally did not make a ton of sense. It just fluctuated wildly between they wanted to make like a breezy 90s rom-com, but then they also were like, Vietnam's happening. And I was like, this is crazy, because you're also chasing a cat around.
Right.
They were just obsessed with this black cat that was running around the wherever. I don't know.
The cat was purely there to show the I don't even know. You're gonna have to cut this part out.
Were there cats there?
Well, there's always cats in Florida, aren't there? You lived in Florida.
I've never saw a cat. There were chickens in Tampa. It's just
bad. NASA has an issue with superstition.
Okay.
There's no 13th floor on any NASA building.
Really?
They never fly. Actually, most hotels don't have a 13th floor, but I don't think any NASA building has a 13th floor.
I don't think that's true.
Well, okay. NASA doesn't fly when they fly commercially. They don't sit in the 13th row or any seat with 13 in it. That's the lore. Whether it really happens all day long,
Wait. You?
Yes.
Who earnestly have been mad at me for even mentioning astrology.
Yes.
Worked for a company for 30 years.
It's not a company.
An organization for 30 years that is afraid of the number 13.
when you say it like that, it doesn't sound good. Let's go back to this movie and leave the astrology alone for a minute.
Okay, well, did they get it right? Were you happy with how the rocket looked? And
so I will admit that's why this movie is confusing in the sense, right? The Hallmark rom-com movie doesn't go with the very well done, technically NASA period piece of the Apollo mission. They did that beautifully. I actually think I haven't spent much time in Houston, in Florida. I definitely did my career in Houston, but those I believe were the actual NASA facilities. That was the launch room. I mean, they could have recreated the whole thing, because I know in Apollo 13 they did recreate the mission control room that I used to work in, and I couldn't tell the difference. So I don't know how big of a budget this movie had, but they could have recreated. But in reality, NASA usually lets film crews in to shoot things, so it wouldn't surprise me if those were the real thing. I think they took some artistic license in where things happened, how they happened, but that's fine. They got the basic principles down quite well. I didn't like the fact that they used the Apollo 1 tragedy.
Ooh, I was going to say that. That really bothered me.
I mean, all right, let's backtrack for people that weren't there or don't know, right?
I do think, though, real quick, I do think that they probably shot it in Florida, because when they go into town and she throws the trash can through that window.
Yes.
You see Leopold's in the background, which is a very famous Savannah ice cream shop. So I would imagine if they're shooting primarily in Savannah, then they just did a couple jaunts down to Florida.
You know Savannah's not in Florida, right?
It's in Georgia, but
it was supposed to be in Cocoa Beach.
I know, but I'm saying that if they're already there.
They found the right location that gave
and then they went down a couple times.
Yes. Like, where are you going with that? But anyways, the Apollo 1 mission was a tragedy in the space program, right? Mm-hmm. 3 astronauts died that day. It was a simulation of a lunar mission. And there were mistakes made, and it pushed the entire program back, I think, 2 years after that. They regrouped. So NASA learned from that and moved forward. But to use that as an emotional driver for a kind of flaky movie, a romantic movie, I don't know, it bothered me.
It bothered me too, and I didn't feel like it was necessary. Like, you can just have Channing Tatum be haunted by like how long it's taken, like the shot of the NASA program. Like, don't have him constantly keep referencing Apollo 1, and then to not really like give any respect or reference to those very real, like, this is a real tragedy. It's a real thing that happened. But it just kept being like thrown to. And then like we're supposed to root for, was that a hawk?
That was a hawk on the side of the road just sitting there. That's a little eerie, but okay.
And then to also have your romantic leading lady just be like, well, just lie about what happened in Apollo 1. That was crazy.
Right, but it would have worked if it was a dramatic movie.
Right.
And they were trying to, be more complex about it. But when they have the great, and I don't know his name, but he was the dean in Community.
Oh, yeah. I don't know his name.
The guy that was the director, but the TV show Community. I love that guy in Community, and he made a phenomenal eccentric director
for the fake
moon landing.
Yes.
Right?
He was the only part that got like 3 chuckles out of me.
Yes.
And they underutilized him, but he was like the good comedic part. But yeah, then like you would have Channing Tatum be like, listen, Apollo 1 really impacted me. And then Scarlett Johansson would be like, it's such a beautiful view. And then you'd have Channing Tatum look at her and be like, yeah, it is a beautiful view. As though this is like middle school writing.
It's very good, right. It was so simplistic in that sense.
Right. And they kept having fights, and then they kept changing how they felt about each other, but they were never like backed up by anything. And
you know what it was?
What?
It was a 1960s
Rock
Hudson, Doris Day-like movie.
Okay.
You don't have no context on that. I mean, I'm not that old either, but they're very light and fluffy back and forth. I love him, he hates me. I love him, she hates me.
I mean, you
back
could
and forth,
do
back
that,
and forth.
but it wasn't.
I know, but that's what they were sort of channeling.
Sure. Yeah, I think they were channeling a few things, but I don't think that like I think that you had to make some cuts then of what you were managing to do. And I think that it also relies on like a very sparkling chemistry to exist.
Oh my gosh, they
between
had
them.
none.
And they didn't.
Oh, I felt so sad. I really was expecting. I mean, because they're decent at what they do.
And that you can't coach chemistry. It's just like a thing that happens.
It was flat.
Yeah, it's just like two people don't have it or they have it, and that's like it's just it can't be forced, and that's just the reality. And that's why like rom-coms. Listen, we used to be a real country that made mid-budget rom-coms with so much tension and chemistry between its lead actors. Where are the Meg Ryan and Tom Hankses? You know, where are they?
I have nothing to add there. Sorry.
Thank you. Vote for me in 2024, and I'll make us a real country again. No, but like that's. I mean, if you're going the rom-com route, and this was half going the rom-com route, you need that.
It was more than half, because even the supporting character, her sidekick lady, right,
Yeah.
also fell for a NASA engineer, right? They made that little cute thing. Although half of the way, at the beginning, I thought that NASA engineer that she fell in love with sort of
Was gay
with the other
guy.
And I was like, oh, this is an interesting twist, but
Same.
no, it didn't go that direction.
And the director's gay, so I was like, maybe.
But no.
Nope.
They played right back.
They played what?
Right back to stereotypes.
Oh.
Just how this thing should, 1960s movie would be.
Well, then it was also
Rock Hudson was gay, though, to bring it full circuit back.
I know, he was. So am I.
It was no Hidden Figures.
It was also no First Man. I loved First Man.
I don't think I ever saw that one.
Oh, you didn't?
Not that I know of.
Ryan Gosling plays Neil Armstrong.
You have a thing for Ryan Gosling. Oh my gosh,
That's
I did
my
see that.
boy.
I hated that movie. Oh my gosh, I made Armstrong seem like such a horrible person. But I believe that is true.
Okay, so then it didn't seem
Yeah,
like it.
no, I guess he did it well. I just did not want to see my hero acting like that.
I just remember the beautiful shot of them like opening the lunar module, and like the camera it's like a whoosh to go out, and then it's just silence. It was a stunning effect. I loved it.
You're back to the other movie, aren't
I'm
you?
talking about First Man. I'm not talking about Five.
Because in this movie, the Apollo spacecraft made a lot of noise.
Okay.
It was going boom, boom, boom. I mean, all kinds of things were happening. I'm like, there's no sound out there.
In space, no one can hear you
No one
scream.
hears you stream. I guess we'll see that movie soon.
Yeah. Okay, so what else were you mad about?
I'll tell you something I wasn't mad about.
Okay.
Woody Harrelson. He made the greatest Nixon stooge,
Yeah.
covert kind of guy you ever come across. I want that movie.
Yeah, and he was like, I think he kind of got the memo of like, this isn't that serious, but like, he played it a little, I don't know, I thought he played it well.
Oh, he was right on the money.
Yeah, but I don't think...
Supporting cast in this entire thing were great.
Well, I don't think Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson...
They weren't bad either.
Right, I think it was just like, there were like so many moments where I'm like, okay, this is the ending. There was a moment where I was like, okay, this is the ending, and then I was like, oh wait, they haven't even faked the moon landing yet.
Right.
So it felt to me like this was designed episodically. So like these moments of Channing Tatum reflecting on the Apollo 1, and when he gets caged in that interview and they ask him like what went wrong, if you spread that out in an episodic way, I don't think it would have felt as tonally awkward as it did.
So do you think it was? Because this is an Apple movie, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but Apple
do you think
also
they
makes
were,
movies.
Well, yes, but do you think maybe they were driving it in that direction, and then somewhere through production, like, you know what? Let's just turn this into a 2-hour movie and put it out on theatrical release.
Potentially, but I think it
Does
also
that
would have
ever
been... I think that's what Kevin Costner did.
No, we still haven't seen that one.
But I think it would have been weird for Apple TV to make it a mini-series because they already have their 1960s For All Mankind. So I think it would have been odd.
Maybe that's why they chose...
I don't know, but to me it felt like as it kept going on, there were like these natural end breaks. And so then I was like, is this supposed to be a mini-series? Because then I really feel like it wouldn't have felt so up and down and like pulled out a million different seams.
That's
if
true.
It
I think you're
had
right.
space to breathe.
It felt more like a TV series than it did a dramatic... Well, not even dramatic.
No, I think it would have been
Sort of
like
like something light you watch for a half an hour, 40 minutes, and then come back in a couple days and watch another episode.
Right, but it would have had like the heavier moments as well, but it also would have had more time to like develop it.
Develop some of
and
those
not just
pieces,
Scarlett
yeah.
Johansson in the last 15 minutes be like, my mom killed the guy and I ran away. Because that's crazy.
It was crazy.
So I think it was...
I still don't understand why she needed to run away.
She didn't
mom
shoot
killed
him. Yeah.
somebody, so she's not culpable for that murder.
I'm not a lawyer, but I don't think so.
I feel sorry for someone listening to this review. It's like, did they just say her mom killed somebody? How does that fit into this movie?
That's as
exactly
much as
the
we
point,
got.
right? How does that fit into this movie?
Yeah.
That was her big, deep, dark secret, which I guess it's a deep, dark secret, but it didn't need to be that either.
No, it didn't. Okay, so since we're coming home, let me ask you one final question. Why aren't you mad that this movie basically was like perpetrating the moon landing myth? The fake moon landing myth.
So that did occur to me. And I didn't even see it coming. I mean, I knew it was going to be in the movie, but it took a long time for them to get to that point.
Yeah.
Right? Because the first
As
three
though it's a
quarters of the movie...
mini-series and
right,
you get to the fifth
The
episode.
first 3 quarters of the movie is really about her coming in and selling NASA as a product, which I thought...
It was kind of interesting.
That was kind of interesting. I thought they did that well and brought that forward. And then Woody Harrelson with the Nixon plot to come down and fake the moon landing. But none of that would have worked even if they wanted it to have worked. Because they couldn't have swapped in those scenes into the feed coming from the moon. There are too many people involved. I've always had a problem with conspiracists thinking that you could actually fake the moon landing. It's too many moving parts to do that, because exactly like the movie did, right? A cat walked across the set. Something would have been screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the Earth's flat. So.
Oh, let's not go there.
But I do feel like this also, the way that they framed it, it kind of took away from the success of like the engineers and everything.
And they were trying to make them heroes too.
You see that bicycle?
I see the bicycle. I'm waiting. Oh, see, they even waved at us. They were trying to elevate the NASA engineers and the whole culture and importance, and then they sort of undercut it with the whole fake moon landing, and I don't know. I wish it was better. That's all I can say. Because I thought technically they did a great job. I wish they could make another movie with all the elements they had. How's that?
Just want to reshoot it.
Not even reshoot it, just put another dialogue track over it. I bet you could put something like a riff tracks.
Yeah, you can be Channing Tatum like you've always dreamed.
Always dreamed.
All right, how many space shuttles?
Look, first off, it's an Apollo capsule, so you can't use space shuttles.
You didn't know that I wasn't talking about the space shuttle.
It doesn't make any sense. It's an Apollo movie.
How many Apollos?
As a movie?
As a movie.
I'll give it 1. That's it. I'm sorry.
I agree. As a miniseries, it could have been higher.
This is really depressing. I think the last 5 movies now, I've not broken the 3 number.
No.
So I need to see something good.
Twisters.
Twisters.
Twisters! Okay, say goodbye, Father.
Goodbye, Father.
Goodbye. That's it for this week's episode of Movies with My Dad. You can find all of our episodes online at movieswithmydad.com. You can also send us an email at movieswithmydadpod@gmail.com. My dad is desperate to hear from you. You can find me, Tina, on Twitter at Captain Ameripug or Letterboxd at Tina KAKADELIS.DOCX. You can find my dad at our local Home Depot. Tune in next week when we head back to the movies.